Folks, not planning ahead can really cost you. I'll get into that and then the latest home prices and insights for condos across the GTA for week ending February the 7th, 2024. Lots of you have subscribed to this channel. Thank you for that. Many of you enjoy the content. That's why you come here every week, but you've not yet subscribed. Do me a favor, consider subscribing. So this past week, I went to 2 listing appointments, both for condos. One, the condo was vacant. The other one had a tenant. Here's my experience. The vacant one, me and the homeowner, we set up a time that we were going to meet there. We had our calendars open. We pick a time. Easy, simple. We meet there. We go to the condo. We look around. We talk about pricing. We talk about staging. We make plans. All good. We're ready to go. The other one actually took about 3 weeks to finally get in to see the condo. And the 3 weeks, why, you ask? Well, we set up a date and it was changed because, not because of the homeowner, or because of myself, but something came up with the tenant. Either somebody was sick or there was a work obligation, and the tenant wanted to be there when we were there. Didn't, just doesn't want strangers in his house with all his belongings and so forth. So we get there. We finally managed. It took us 3 weeks through changing appointments back and forth. Finally got in to look. Place was okay. It was nice. The tenant was really nice. It's not like he was a problem tenant, and it's not like he was destroying the place, and it's not like they weren't paying rent. They were an okay tenant. They were nice. They were pleasant. But we had a hard time just booking out one showing. And then, so we're looking around, and me and the homeowner thanked him. We leave. We're talking outside in the parking lot. And I said, is there an opportunity where your unit's going to be vacant in the near future? Because I knew the homeowner kind of wanted to sell now. So I said, in the near future, is there an opportunity where the unit's going to be vacant? And he said, oh no, I just, it's about a month ago is when I took on this new tenant, and I've got a year lease. I go, a month ago? Was like, did you know you were going to sell? Because I got to tell you, Mr. Condo owner, it is way, way better to sell the condo when it's vacant versus selling a condo when there's a tenant. And he was surprised I said that. And I just reminded him, just setting an appointment for us, you're the owner of the condo and you couldn't get in there right away when you wanted to. Imagine the reception that the agents or their agents' buyers, imagine how well received they're going to be. And you have a good tenant, but it's still, you got to understand, it's their home. This is where the tenant lives with their family. They got their life. They've got their routine. They're paying their monthly rent. They want to be left alone. They don't want to be bothered with having to keep the place a certain way and show it. So I reminded him, I go, look, I wish we would have had this conversation a little while ago. And the homeowner said it was vacant for about 3 weeks while we were painting from the last tenant and putting the new one. I go, why didn't you think about selling it then? And he said, because I needed the money. My mortgage payments on this are really high. It's not even covering, the rent is not even covering the mortgage payment. So I can't leave it sitting there. So I figured, I don't know how long it's going to take to sell, he said. So let me quickly get a tenant and then I'll focus on selling it. We went on to talk more and more about selling with a tenant versus not. Let me tell you all right now, selling a home with a tenant is exponentially more complicated than selling a home or a condo, we're talking condos here, than selling a vacant condo. Tenant, vacant, hands down, vacant is the way to go, if it's at all possible. Having the tenant, even though you're getting help monthly with the rental income, you will lose more in the end when you're selling it because your sale price will be reduced. You won't get the same amount of money. When the unit is vacant, we can stage it. We can take professional photos. We could market it however we want. We could show it whenever it's convenient for the buyers to go and see it. Tenanted? None of that exists. We can't stage it. We can't reasonably expect that the tenant is going to have the same interest in keeping that unit in showroom condition. Often it's the opposite. We can't expect the tenant to be inconvenienced because they are going to be inconvenienced. Even the nicest of tenants that are the most cooperative people are still inconvenienced by having people showing up at all times to look at the condo. And which photos are we taking? Are we taking professional photos of the tenant's furniture? Like, we're not taking their furniture out and staging it when there's a tenant there. It's just not happening. So right away, the way the home looks is a notch down, or 2 or 3 notches down. We might not be able to show it when it's convenient for the buyers to see it. And then you're eliminating a whole pool of buyers because now it's tenanted. And in this situation, tenanted for almost another year now. Well, an end user just got eliminated from that pool of buyers. And the end user, the person who's going to live in that condo, they're going to pay more than an investor. So now the only person you're attracting is an investor who's willing to take on another tenant. And most investors would prefer that it's not tenanted so they could bring in their own tenants at their conditions, at their new, usually higher rental rates. So you're eliminating a whole pool of buyers. The buyer who's moving in gets emotionally attached. The buyer that's going to be their home, they're thinking of, how do I paint the walls and can't wait to have my friends over. That person is emotionally attached, will pay more than the investor that it's all about the numbers. So if you have the opportunity that your condo is vacant, you're thinking of selling, that's when you should do it. If you're thinking of selling in the next few months and there's an opportunity that your condo is going to be vacant, capitalize on that, because whatever you're getting in rent for those few months, you'll lose it on the other side when you go to sell it. If you think this video, folks, can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, it's really simple. Up here, there's a link to my calendar. Below in the description is a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. So let's break down the condo numbers for the GTA. So here's a quick summary. This is for condo apartments only. There's no condo townhouses in any of this data. We're going to be focusing on condos for Peel region, for York region, and for the city of Toronto. I've broken those down into 3 different areas. Now, the low to high, the difference between the average sold price for Peel versus the city of Toronto is $129,000 difference in average sold price. So there's a huge difference between buying in one area or another. A lot of you knew that, but we're not always thinking about $129,000 difference. Now, when I say Peel, look, I'm talking about Peel, but the vast majority of the condos in Peel are being bought and sold in Mississauga. Incidentally, going from the average sold price of the Toronto condos, which is $707, to a detached property is a $977,000 difference in average sold price. And I say that because lots of people, you always hear, oh, sell your condo, buy a detached. Good luck. It's not easy. Many are doing it, but it's more of a very much an entry-level type property. But if you're just looking at average prices, that's a big leap from your average condo to your average detached in the city of Toronto. It's a big leap, almost $1 million difference in pricing. We're going to start off with the city of Toronto condos. 174 condos were sold. Now, we were increasing every single week. This 1 week versus the previous week, sales did dip a little bit to 174, but the amount of condos selling at $1 million or more, that number has continued to grow. 22 condos sold at $1 million or more. Average sold price jumped up from the previous week by a bit. It's now sitting at $707,000. Although prices do go up and down on a weekly basis, when I look at it from this point of view, looks like average prices for condos in the city of Toronto are trending upwards so far for this year. Compared to last year, 707, when we round the percentage, it's actually the same. Last year was 710,000. This year it's 707, 0% change. That's a rounded percentage. This year's price versus last year's average sold price. The actual percentage is that it's down 0.4%. The median price is down 1.7%. So pretty much also similar to where we were this time last year. When you look at the dotted line, going back the last 4 or 5 weeks since the beginning of the year, condo prices are trending up right now for the time being. This is what we're seeing. 174 we said were sold. Also trending up is the percentage selling at list price or more. So 28% sold at list price or more. That's still low. The detached market, 50% are selling at list price or more. That's a lot more competitive right now. But the condo market, 28% selling at list price or more. Lots more were listed. We went from 544 listed to 655 new condo listings just for week ending February the 7th. Active listings has jumped up also. It's hard to see. These numbers are so large up here, but it did jump up from a little bit over 2,600 to a little bit over 2,800 condos available for sale at the end of February 7th. And months of inventory, look, sales came down. The amount of condos available for sales went up. It's only logical that the translation of that is months of inventory is up. Months of inventory has been trending down, which helps to explain why prices are going up. But this 1 week, we're sitting now at 3.7 months of inventory for week ending February the 7th. And that's all Toronto. Let's break Toronto down into 9 different sections. So just getting back, months of inventory for all Toronto is 3.7. Depending on which part of Toronto you're condo shopping in or condo selling in, the experience is going to be a little bit different. So Scarborough, 2.2 is the months of inventory. That's much more competitive. Excuse me, that's much more competitive than 3.7 months of inventory. So 2.2 is the months of inventory. 41% of those condos sold at list price or more. Scarborough, very competitive for condos. When we look at other areas, Etobicoke, for example, 18 condos were sold, 22% sold at list price or more, so not so competitive. 4.3 is the months of inventory. Let's look at downtown Toronto. 29% sold at list price or more. Months of inventory is 3.8. Active listings just in downtown Toronto, and downtown is where the lion's share, as far as percentage of all sales, downtown Toronto has most of the sales. This is about a third of all the city of Toronto sales. So 62 were sold, but active condos for sale, over 1,024 condos were available for sale and 62 were sold. Average sold price in downtown, $731,000. And you got all your different areas. You got your downtown. Midtown is 3.2 months of inventory. Uptown, 4.2 months of inventory. Difference in average sold price is just within there. $731 for downtown, $778 Midtown. Uptown, $655 is the average sold price for this week. Lots of different experiences. So all Toronto, look, 707 is the average price, but depending on where you are, that's going to change. Months of inventory, competitiveness, condo selling at list price or more, depending on where you're buying. And even within the areas, depending on the building, that'll make a big difference of how competitive that condo purchase or that sale is going to be. Let's take a look at York Region condos. So 32 condos were sold. None of those were at $1 million or more. Now 32 kind of seems that sales are actually dropping. We started with 33 really the first full week in January, and now we're at 32. So sales coming down, or let's just say coming down or kind of flat. They haven't moved that much overall. Average price up and down each week, but it kind of looks like overall there's not really a big change in average sold price. Right now it's sitting at $651,000. 651 is 2% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The median price is also 2% lower. And when you look at the dotted line, which is a 4-week moving average, it's not much change, is there, over the span of the last 4 or 5 weeks since this year started. 32 were sold, a quarter, 25% sold at list price or more. Listings also jumped up in Toronto. They jumped up in York Region. We went from 72 listings to 110 listings. Prior to that, it kind of looked like the amount of condo listings was trending down. Not a lot, but slightly. But 110 new listings, active listings up a little bit from the previous week. Months of inventory jumped up to where we're now sitting at 3.1 months of inventory. It was trending down and now it's up. Here's Peel Region. Again, for Peel, although I'm talking about Peel Region, most of these condos are being bought and sold in Mississauga. 41 condos were sold. 2 of those were at $1 million or more. Sales is trending up. $578,000 is the average price for condos sold in Peel Region. $578,000 is 2% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The median price is 4% lower. Looks like when you look at the dotted line, it kind of looks like prices may be trending down. 41 were sold. That's up 15%, not a lot. 15% sold at list price or more. Listings up from the previous week, and months of inventory is coming down, now sitting at 2.3 months of inventory. If months of inventory continue to come down, I think we could expect to see the average prices starting to creep up a bit. Here's a quick summary. This is the 3 areas that we're talking about: City of Toronto, York Region, Peel Region for condos. Pretty much sitting in a balanced market in the condo business. The building will make a difference. The area that you're looking to buy and sell in will make a difference. Make sure you align yourself to somebody that understands what's happening and they don't just do the same thing no matter what. Doesn't matter where the condo is. You got to know your numbers. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.